Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We have another edition of our Bella interviews. We're really excited to be here with Luisana Rivera. Buenas tardes, Luisiana. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for your time and this opportunity.
Yes, we're so excited to have you. And Luisiana is owns her business, Single Threads by Luisiana. And we just had you actually in our new incubator program that we have at Mercado del Pueblo. So that was really exciting to host you that month and let you and your business shine through that opportunity. But I'm excited to get to know you a little more, get to know about your business, and more importantly, just a space for you to share your story that I know will support and inspire other Latina women. So, how about we start with just you telling us a little bit about you? Like, who is Luciana, and give us a little idea about who you are.
Well, I am an introvert, so really this is a first for me, my first interview and a first it's been a year for first in many aspects regarding business. So it's very special and a lot of it has to do with being part of the Bella, cohort. So thank you for that. So Single Thread by Luisana is a crochet business. So I make accessories, wearables, and it all started back in 2020 is when I opened my Etsy shop, and then in 2015 is when I started doing markets. So I am this whole thing with crochet started just from people asking me, my coworkers asking me, "Hey, can you make me this? Can you make me that?" And I'm like, "Okay, sure." So I will make them stuff, and then that's how slowly I'm like, maybe this is a thing. So I learned crochet through my mother. I was 10 years old, and she used to crochet and sew at the time. And I don't know what got over us. I asked, she was working on something, and then she just handed me a hook and pink yarn, and she just taught me the chain, and I didn't want to stop. And then she's like, "All right, let's build from it." And I ended up making this pink huge blanket, which I still have,
Wow.
and little show and tell. I put it out
Yes,
of the
please.
vault. So
Oh
I
my
made all
gosh.
this.
That's gorgeous. Wow, I thought I would imagine something smaller.
Oh no, I didn't want to stop. This went on forever. So
Wow.
and then from there she's like, "Oh, there's some green too."
Oh
Um,
my gosh.
but this was my first piece. Then she goes, "Let me teach you how to make vestiditos para las Barbies," because I had my Barbies. And we were a low budget family, so I had my, my girls here, which is this one. So I made her dress,
Ooh,
and because
fancy.
diversity, I had these, and then
Yeah.
finally I got my real Barbies, so I made them little dress. Ooh, she's showing too much. So these were like my first pieces that my mom showed me how to make, and I'm like, this is so cute. Like I enjoyed the time with her, the
Mhm,
time with just creating and just free flowing.
mhm,
And that's what how it kind of the seed was planted, I guess.
mhm,
And so and with that, and then my dad's work ethic, like he used to do construction, so I used to um the love for creating and design and all that grew from his side. I would
mm,
used to go to work with him in the summer, which I mean, don't tell anyone, but like I will help him in construction. So there's like stuff like that that I picked up from, which are skills that I value till this day. And I'm proud of that upbringing, like humble upbringings, but just full of love and
mm.
creativity from both sides. And that's something that I kept, and I choose to like just continue, growing from that. And I have a younger brother, so it's just him and I at now because my both my parents passed.
Mm,
Um, she he passed first, and then it was like a whole shift in life. Like I
mm,
put crochet down for a few years just because I was became head of household, and
mm,
then later on she got cancer. So in her time, it was like we went through all that, And then from there, um, during a time that I noticed that she was kind of like down and, and all the things, so I figured crochet has been a hobby therapy for us from the
Mhm.
beginning. So I was like, why don't you just make me a blanket, mom? Da da da. When she was up and, up for it, she's like, oh yeah, just give me the colors. So I got her all that and she made me a blanket. She completed the whole blanket, which I still can't use, but I have it there.
Yeah.
And it's like another eyelash don't tell, I promise. But
No, I love it.
this is the blanket she made me.
Wow. It's
And
beautiful.
it was like,
Mm,
I mean, the colors and her time, I had took a picture of her working on it, which I still have.
mm.
But it's like, this is what I have left. This is kind of like that hug I will need, whenever.
Yeah.
Pero de ahí viene my my love for creativity, my love for trying to do something and trying to do it right.
Mhm.
So and trying to use like quality stuff. So the brand kind of started from all these little life skills that they taught me, then coworkers inquiring, then from there I was like, maybe I should open an Etsy and see what happens. And then that's when the whole let me do markets and see what happens there, and markets has been the thing that where I do better, I guess. I
Mhm.
sell in person because people like to see the piece, like to try
Yeah.
it on. They're like, oh, it's like, oh, me dicen it looks nicer in person. I'm like, I don't know how to take that. Or like they just want to try them on. They want to touch.
Yeah.
So it's slow fashion, which is which I'm fine with. I don't mass produce. Everything's unique. Everything's like colorful, which was an intent of mine. As an introvert, I feel like I've been I express myself
Mhm.
with colors, accessories. I used to dye my hair every which way. Now I'm just letting nature take its course. Pero con accessories, for example, the earrings, which is part of my collection, and stuff like that, it's what inspired me to just create these different collections that I now have in my
Mm.
business. So yeah,
I love
long-winded
it.
answer.
No, I love that. And I love how you kind of walked us through your story of conception of the business, conceptualizing the business into turning it into reality, and the fact that your mom, your dad inspired you so much. And I feel like that comes through in, like you said, the blanket, right? That she gave you. Like you have it as like something physical that
Yeah,
you can have. And I think a lot of the times with clothing or blankets or some like a stuffed animal, something that we can hold on to that reminds us of our loved ones is so special because it's something that represents them too. You know, that was a bond you shared with her and something she also taught you and you did together. And now you have that to next to you to hold too. So I think that is so special. That is I think that's what people pick up on too, I'm sure, when, they say they want to feel it, they want to see it. I would take that totally the good way. It does, everything looks better live, it's just how
true.
it is. And I'm sporting my
Oh my gosh,
my
that's great.
Luciana earrings. I've worn them often actually, and every time I get comments about like, oh, those are really pretty. Like, where did you get them? And so I'll share with them about you and your business. But
Thank you.
thank you for walking us through that and telling us that. So you touched a little bit on kind of like when you were younger and that you kind of put that needle. Am I saying that right? What is it called? Is it a
The hook,
crochet needle?
crochet hook.
Crochet hook. Okay, I was like,
Yeah.
so something doesn't sound right. There you go, crochet hook. um, but tell us a little bit about how you grew up. So you say you're a little introverted, but were you like that when you were little, like growing up? What was it that you gravitated towards? Like, what was your personality? What were you thinking about what you would do? The typical question, what do you want to do when you grow up? Was it being a business owner? Was it owning your business and these, all these beautiful pieces that you create now?
Nada que ver. I was worse. I was worse before. I feel like I mean, I was a daddy's girl. So my brother and I are 6 years apart. So I was an only child, for that length of time. And it was like I was very shy, even con my tia who used to take care of me. I would just hide behind my dad's legs, like, oh, don't talk to me. I don't know why, but I was. And then my brother, was born, and then I felt like, oh, he needs company, so let me play cards with him. So from there, I just became like a tomboy. And
Mhm.
then I would just play around with him, and like I had my little Bigfoot truck that I would drive around the like yard and stuff back then. Um, pero I feel that the business has actually made me open up and talk to people.
Mhm. Yeah.
So because I was like, at first I'm like, wait a minute, no, now I gotta talk to them. So it was like a learning experience, which I felt like I made myself do because I needed to come out of that if I wanted this to grow. And it actually helped me to talk about it because I'm like, let me just focus on the task at hand. Like they're asking about the beanie, they're asking about this. So, and that's when I can talk to them for days about certain things, certain items, just because it's something that I love. And then next thing I know, I'm like, oh shoot, I talked to them. So it's been like therapeutic in a way.
Yeah.
Crochet, like it's touched on many aspects. So I've gotten better. Like I can socialize with people now. Pero la verdad, I don't know why I was like super shy back then and kind of stuck around a little bit now. But yeah.
Well, I think like you said though, your outlet is your business, right? And when you love something so much, clearly you love what you do and you turn it into a business, it puts us at ease, it helps us build our confidence, it gives us joy. So all of those things I think contribute to like making it a little bit easier to speak about it, but also to grow ourselves. Sometimes we think like, ya estamos más de edad or like ya, somos adultas, so we think like we should be X, fill in the blank. We should be able to do this, or we should be like, no, that's not true. Sometimes we still guardamos whether it's like the nervousness or the fear or just whatever it might be, public speaking or
Yeah.
just, selling the business or whatever it might be. And so I think it's very normal. And I think it's great that you have your outlet as your business. And so when you were, I know like you expressed or you shared that you learned to love crocheting and you started doing things and first it was with some coworkers and Etsy. And when did you, or I don't know if it was before that you kind of formalized the business? And I don't necessarily mean like you legally formalized. I mean like where you decided, okay, this is my business. This is what I'm going to call it. This is what I'm going to do. This is what it's going to be about. Like, can you think back to that experience and walk us through that a little bit?
Yeah, it was one of those, what do I call this? Like because it was a point that when my first sales with coworkers began, um, it's like the word spread. I used to work at a spa, so like it was a lot of people. And I got so many orders for beanies, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Y yo sentía que I had to complete the order by tomorrow. So I would barely sleep trying to fulfill these orders back then. And then I'm like, what am I doing? Like, let me should just I need to like control this, that it's something that's beginning. So I had to like take minimal orders. And then I'm like, they're paying me for something that I enjoy doing. So let me just maybe move it to Etsy and just, when I was done with the large order, I'm like, let me make a couple and list them, and then from there I'm like, what do I call this? And I looked up some names online and they were already taken. I'm like, So the first one was I think I have it somewhere. I think I have a picture of it. But I was like, back to the yarn. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? So then I felt like because in my teens I thought I was too cool for crochet, so I stopped crocheting. And
Ah,
until I got my job, that first job, and that's when it rekindled, I guess, and I
yeah.
picked it up. And I'm like, I guess back to the yarn. But then I'm like, I don't know. So I ended up, this was like soon after I opened Etsy, so after 2010. And then some years later, I realized I need to clean up the back, the design, the name, um, and just make it mean something. So I called it Single Thread by Luisana because many of the pieces that I make just require just one roll of yarn. So
Oh,
one
wow.
single thread, like that's kind of where I linked it and by me. So that's how the name came. And I try to clean it up. And in my logo, I use some of the pieces, some yarn, some hook, some thread, because at the beginning I was trying to sew as well.
Mm,
Pero that didn't work out for me. So I'm like, let me stick to what I know. Pero I use some of the pieces like that are my mom's. Like for example, I still have some of her hooks with me.
mm,
And I just, I would tweak them on the picture or I would put them on the listings that I would, put up.
mhm,
Pero de ahí nació. And la
mm,
idea, el nombre, and the concept, and then doing markets. My first market was in the summer at the Santa Monica Pier because I was like, I'm gonna do it. Let me get out there, like let me push myself and this and that. Nobody bought anything because I was like, cobijas,
oh.
bufandas in the heat of summer at the beach. It's like, mujer, like, read the room. So I was like, oh my gosh. So it was a learning experience, of course. And I didn't take it as a loss. I'm like, because while I was there, I was just seeing all the other vendors and I'm like, what can I pick up from these people? What can I
Mm,
learn? What can I make twist it and make it my own? Because
mhm,
I, of course, you people get inspired, but at the end of the day, you should make things your own, not just copy paste, because si no así like que chiste, So from there, I just learned to. I'm like, I think I'm gonna make my background all white so my items pop. I should do this. I should do this setup, all the things. So poquito a poco, así fui aprendiendo de to make my my pop up setup. What it is, and that way my items stand out. So yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I love how you kind of built everything built on itself. And you with the name, then you kind of thought through the logo, you thought through your setup, being very intentional. But honestly, I think you're not gonna know until you kind of go out there sometimes, right? Like you wouldn't have known that unless you were there and you experienced it, right? At that first pop-up. Like you're learning, right? And I would think that maybe in every experience you've had, you pick up a little something, you learn a little something different to help you. So that's great. Thank you for walking us through that. What would you say is your like greater mission or purpose with your business? So you make a lot of beautiful creative art through the products that you make and you sell. What's the big purpose behind your business? If you were to tell somebody what that mission is, what would you say?
So my mission is to encourage others to wear handmade pieces that are long lasting. They're well made. Also, I in 2020 in January, I'm like, it's another encouragement, another push that I made myself to was teach, have one-on-one sessions with people. So I
Mm,
I opened that up and I had two girls sign up and we had our first one on well kind of like a little two-on-one session of basic crochet. So I would love people to learn the craft and to appreciate the craft that are it's a skill that it's kind of like fading away a little because everything's like mass produced and machine made, all the things. So I'm like, esto tiene algo, it's unique, it's wearable, it's long lasting. So my whole goal is for people to be encouraged to gear towards supporting that kind of craft.
mhm,
And if they want to learn, oh my gosh, please let me work with you, because it's something that it's a skill that it's therapeutic. It's great for mental health because there are days that I'm stressed. I'm like, I need an outlet. So I get
mhm.
at it. So it has different different ¿cómo se dice? Crochet has different outlets for you to either wear it or grow from it, and my whole goal is for people to appreciate that.
Mm, I love that. And what would you say, what or who like continues to inspire you to keep pushing and to keep that energy and that spirit around your business?
The encouragement comes from clients that I met along the way that there was a time. So I think I skipped that part. So I'm from LA and my parents are Salvadorian. So I growing up, it was just us and visiting my tios and stuff. But as I grew older, I felt like I was detached from my culture.
Mm.
And I'm like, shoot,
Mhm.
ambulance.
Mm.
There's an ambulance passing by. Um,
Oh, we can't really hear it. Don't worry.
okay. I live in the city, people.
Mhm.
So there was a time that I was like, I needed I need to learn from my background. Yeah, I'm an LA girl, pero de donde vienen mis raíces, and all the things like traditions and stuff. I learned a few things, pero through that, through social media, I learned I connected with this guy who had a page at the time, and he was creating a network of other Salvadorian vendors, which is how I met a few of the girls that I'm still cool with right now. And through that, markets started happening that are just centered towards like Salvadorian vendors. Da, da, da. So in one of those events, I never forget, una señora, she stops by and she's like, "You made all this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, this and that, da da da. My mom taught me." So she's like looking at it, she's like, bien señora, bien sencilla. She's like, "Eres una de las nuestras." And it was a Salvadorian event. And I'm like, ah, I was chopping onions. So it was like it touched me so hard to this day. I'm like, okay, like if I impressed an elder, from the motherland, and then others that are like repeat customers. So these are the people that just keep encouraging me to pick up what my parents left, within me. So I think it's the clients, the new people that I meet, even fellow vendors that I see them killing it. I'm like, I will DM someone, I'm like, you're inspiring me right now, like that's really cool. So it's like it comes from different mujeres, that I get to meet along the way. So yeah,
Yeah, that's beautiful, and that's important because it's easy to kind of let the day to day wear you down sometimes, right? And the next question I'm going to ask is around your struggles or your challenges of your business. But before I get to that question, just continuing on with the woman that kind of you connected with, right? I think it's about connecting. Like that to me shows me that what you do through your business is also a great way to connect with community, and
very.
community feels seen, and a beautiful way to honor your mother and your parents. And so I think, and I like to highlight that when I hear it, when people speak to it, because we don't always kind of sit and think about it that way. And I think that in of itself can be a great, or is a great part of your story, right? And why you're in business and why this specific business versus something else. There's always this kind of personal connection, I think, to it. So I just want to call it out for what I'm hearing and seeing and feeling. And I think that's a very beautiful thing. So, um, but there's also challenges and there's struggles, right? As a
Yeah.
business owner, as an entrepreneur. So can you share maybe one or two that you feel comfortable with sharing that you've experienced or maybe are currently experiencing, and how you overcame it or how you're working through it?
Yes. So I realize the challenges I face are online sales are not as high as in person. And being a woman of a certain age, it's like, gosh, doing markets ya cansa. So I'm like, I need to figure something out. So that's still like in progress right now. Try to through the Bayes cohort, I've learned so many tips. So I'm like learning to put those to practice and hopefully something positive comes from that, from what I've learned and still learning. So this is una de las cosas that I'm like, online sales. I wish they would pick up. um what else? Or it's happened it happens, I guess, to many different kind of businesses that you get somebody stops by and they're just looking at it and they question the price, and they're
Mm,
like, oh well, my tia can make it, or my so and so can make it, or like, or this and that, and it's like, okay, then
mhm.
go with your tia. So it's like crazy. Or I get the opposite, it's happened a couple times on the same day. I gotten that, and then later on, it's like, that's it. I'm like, yeah, yeah. Like I thought it was a lot of it. She's like, you should be charging more, and I'm like, I'm so confused. So it's like it's been like I try to leave the prices like at a certain level. Esa ha sido otra. When I create a new collection, I'm like, what am I gonna price this? That's
Mm,
something that I want to be accessible to everyone, you
mm.
know, and at the same time, like my labor, because it's handmade, it's soft fashion, like I want it to be valued as well. So
Yeah,
it's been that really. Um, y ahorita pues, with Joanne's closing, I did my best, in my background. Like I try to support as much as I could. So it's like trying to find other retailers where I can get my material going forward once I'm low.
yeah,
Pero I'm sure that can be worked around. Pero overall has been growing online sales. That I would say that's it.
yeah, yeah. And that's tough. And the pricing piece too. I know there's a lot of women that speak to the pricing, not underpricing, not overpricing. What's that healthy balance? Knowing
Yeah.
your audience. I mean, that also links back to the online sales, maybe. And there's a lot to think about. There's a lot of moving parts. So, where do you see Single Thread by Luisiana in 5 years? Like, what is your, or even 10, like, what is your vision for the future? Like, what goals would you like to accomplish in the future?
So between you and I, one thing that I've kind of dreamt about
between
is
between you and I and all the people listening that'll
be
see.
cool. Be cool, Rocío. um, it's like I would love to have my little shop where I sell
Yeah.
material, where I can host classes, I can have other teachers come in, I can sell my products. But in my head, because of how I grew up and all the things, like, and then next door it's a coffee shop because we love our cafecito. My dad used
Yeah.
to coffee in the mornings. And then on the other side, it's like a little plant shop or flower shop because my mom loved plantitas and flowers. So
Oh.
in my dream world, that would be like dope. Or to have like a big old open space and just have different, local vendors. But the whole thing is to have like community, host markets, have classes, all relating to the craft or even like new skill sets.
Mhm.
Um, but that's kind of been like a thing that's been in my mind for a few years now. And I'm like, wow, like that would be cool if it happened. So
Yeah. I love it. Well, you got to put it out there. It could happen and you could start small. And by small, I just mean like take it one step at a time. Like don't try to do 10 steps at once.
I know.
You focus on one. Um, Maybe start with a collaboration and grow. And I have similar ideas, but we could talk offline about those. But that's beautiful. I think having a space where you're able to not only showcase your business, but you're in community and you're doing the things you want to do, which is teaching too. You mentioned that a few times and teaching classes. I think that's a wonderful vision that you should hang on to. And we're gonna see you one day in a few years with that. We're gonna visit you. We're gonna go to your place and and take video and picture.
My goodness.
Sí se
From
puede.
your mouth to God's ears.
Yes. I love it. Well, just a couple more questions as we're kind of getting close to the end of our time. What advice or tips would you give to someone that's starting out or someone that's thinking about starting their business? What kind of you were to say, think about these 2 to 3 things or words, what are your words of wisdom? I guess that's a better way of putting it.
Um, I think just try it, and it doesn't hurt to just come up with the one thing that you're inspired to make because I feel like we all have this God-given gift, and if we don't put it to practice, it's like it's a disservice to you and to the community, that you didn't at least try. And to
Mhm.
my fellow introverts, it's like fall in love with that thing that you want to do and then let that be your outlet to talk to the world because like that's what
Mm,
happened to me,
yeah.
and it's just a matter of taking that first step and then eventually create it to be your own, and I feel like that will come through and people will see it and appreciate it more. So I feel
Mm,
like it's just having that courage
mm.
to and believe in what you want to do, what you want to show the world, and just take that first step and try it.
Yeah, I love it. Those are great words of inspiration, words of wisdom. Thank you for sharing them. We'll end today with this. Is there anything that you want to tell folks that are listening that maybe we didn't get to cover in our interview time together? Or this is also a good time to put a plug in for your business and how folks can support you or find you?
Okay. So I was fortunate enough a few years back to connect with Diana from Cafe Calle, which is in South LA, and
Mm.
she carries now my beanie collection and headbands. So if you're
Oh,
interested with
so
some
nice.
coffee, go do some little shopping. She's so supportive of other small businesses, so she has a section for all of us there. So you
Yeah.
can find my items there. And in Downey, at Oco Madres, you can find my earring collection. So she's another dope woman, and she's also supportive of other businesses. So those are two great in-person locations. You can find my items, or you can follow me on social media, which is at Single Thread by Luisana. And that's the same name for all the socials, Instagram, TikTok, and that's the name of my website as well, which is all connected on my link tree on my little bio on Instagram. And you can do shopping there, or you can come to one of the markets that I normally do towards end of year,
Mm.
and we can meet there, or we can even schedule a one-on-one class in the LA area. And I provide all the materials. We meet for 2 hours. So these are my little. This is what I do. So hopefully we can
Wow.
link up and meet one day. Yeah.
I love it. Thank you so much. This was really beautiful. Thank you for just opening up your heart and your time and your spirit to us and sharing your story. It's definitely worth telling. I
Ooh,
feel very inspired by your mom and your dad and your experience. I think it makes you who you are and it makes your business shine as well. So thank you for sharing that with us. I appreciate
you
you
made
so
me
much.
cry. Oh,
Ya no,
thank
no, no vamos a chillar las dos, ¿ok?
Miss Chopping Onions.
We're we are
Okay.
close. We're gonna close the interview before we all start bawling. But I want to thank you again, Luciana, for your time. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this interview. Please go out and support Luisana Rivera and her business and all Latina entrepreneurs that are in Los Angeles needing your support. But thank you so much, Luciana. And with that, we will sign off. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you.